Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and give us about 30 seconds before we start. Excellent. All righty. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning or afternoon. My name is Mariela Salinas, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Educate 360. Welcome to today's webinar, Intro to Azure AI, presented by one of our fantastic technical instructors today, Tom Payne. We are in Zoom for today's session, and we will be sharing a copy of this recording with you in an email after the webinar. We do encourage participation throughout the webinar, so please use the chat or the Q&A option for our short Q&A after the presentation. Educate 360 is so excited to present this webinar today. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Tom.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much. Welcome to this session on Azure AI. In this session, we're going to talk, first of all, about AI in general, give you an introduction to AI, understand what it is and what it's going to mean for us going forward. Then we'll talk about different AI solutions that are available through Azure. Microsoft Azure is all of their cloud offerings. You can host websites with Azure, you can store your data in Azure, and you can get your AI solutions in Azure. So we'll go and talk about that and play with it a little bit. And then the third topic, we'll discuss generative AI a little bit. Generative AI is essentially what you may have heard of ChatGPT. Microsoft has that capability built into a lot of their products through what they call Copilot. That's essentially ChatGPT built into Azure and built into Windows and built into Office and things like that. So we'll talk about AI and what we can do with it through our Microsoft Azure products. All right, so first of all, let me just say this. No matter who you work for, whether you work for government, whether you work for a nonprofit, if you work for a church, if you work for a publicly traded company, every organization exists to deliver value. And if you cannot deliver value, you are going to struggle. If you think of companies that used to be big and they're no longer around, usually they're not around anymore because they failed to deliver as much value. So I think of companies like Blockbuster Video. They used to be huge, but they got outvalued by Netflix and Redbox, for example. If you think about Kodak, used to be much bigger, but now we all use digital cameras. Toys R Us and Kmart used to be huge, but Amazon comes along and crushes them, right? And so if you look at those companies that didn't deliver value, usually it has something to do with them not adopting the latest technology. In the 1980s, computers became affordable enough for every business to use them. And if your company decided, oh, I don't trust that new fandangled computer thing, then you're going to get out competed. In the 90s, it was the internet. You might think, why would I hook my company up to this crazy internet thing where there's hackers and viruses? Well, if you don't hook up, then you're gonna struggle to survive. In the 2000s, we all started using smartphones. If I think, man, I don't want my company data to be sitting on somebody's phone and then like their phone gets stolen, or they let their kid use their phone when they're bored at the bank or the grocery store. I don't want their kid accessing I'm not going to use smartphones. Well, if you decide not to use these technologies, you're going to get left behind. In the 2010s, it was cloud. So if you're not already using Microsoft Azure or other cloud services, you're paying more to host your own servers in your own data center with your own employees, and you can get it for a lot cheaper and a lot better services by signing up for cloud services. So now we're in the 2020s, it's machine learning and AI. If you don't adopt AI, if you don't adopt these technologies, then you might become Blockbuster Video, America Online, Kmart, all these other big companies that just couldn't keep up. So you almost have no choice in the modern world but to adopt these new technologies, or you're gonna struggle. So what exactly is artificial intelligence? Well, computers have been really good at doing a lot of things for a long time, but they haven't always been good at doing things that we do very well. Humans are very good at recognizing, like, I can look at a picture and I can tell you all about that picture. I can make a bunch of weird noises with my mouth and you understand what I'm saying. So we're good at understanding language. We're good at seeing things. We're good at recognizing patterns, predicting what might happen next. There's all these things that humans are good at. We're good at art. We're good at drawing and writing fiction. A computer traditionally wasn't good at that stuff. But with artificial intelligence, that is the computer getting better at mimicking human capabilities. Like, just one example. If you go back 20 years ago, computers always sounded like this when they talked to you. Now, when you talk to your computer, when you talk to your phone or your Amazon Alexa device, it sounds like a person. That's AI. That's AI that's doing that. So these are all things that we're really good at, but computers haven't always been very good at. Like, maybe 5 to 10 years ago, there was a kid who wrote a program that could take a big news article and turn it into a little 3 sentence summary. And I think it was Yahoo News paid him like $1 million for this code that could turn a big long article into a short blurb summarizing a big, you could read a book and I could ask you, tell me the general ideas, and you could tell me the 2 minute version of the book. Humans are good at doing that. Computers haven't always been good at that. Now with Chat GPT and other AI capabilities, the language services that Azure has to offer, we can take advantage of this stuff. Let me give you an example of where that could help you. If you were a grocery store and you were selling milk, this is my standard example. I use this all the time. If you don't have enough milk on the shelf and you sell out, customers are going to come to you for milk and you don't have it. What do? They take the value, the money that they had, they were going to give that to you in exchange for some milk, but they're going to take that value to your competitor now. They're going to get milk from somebody who has it. So you do not want to run out of milk or values walking out the door. You're missing out. So let's order extra milk, right? But if you order too much milk, then it expires. You can't sell expired milk. What do? You have to dump it down the drain. So wait a minute, if we have too much milk, we're dumping value down the drain. If we don't have enough milk, value's walking out the door. We've got to get the right amount of milk. Now, if we have a manager, an inventory manager working at the grocery store who's worked there for 40 years, then they'll probably know, oh, it's a Thursday. It's kind of warm out. It's a holiday weekend coming up. I know how much milk we should have on the shelf. But if that 40-year experienced manager leaves your organization, then now we might get the wrong amount of milk and we're dumping value down the drain, value's walking out the door. So with machine learning, it can do it even better than that 40-year experienced manager because it can see all the data quicker and better than a human can. It can predict how much milk we're going to need based on all this past data. And so now, and the bonus is, instead of paying a bunch more money, that manager maybe would have left 5 years ago, but we offered him a raise and another raise and another raise. Well, with AI, chances are the cost way cheaper than a human to begin with. And over time, the costs are going to go down. Technology costs generally go down where human labor cost goes up, up, up. So if you want to survive and thrive as a business, we need to start using AI. We can save a ton of money, get better results for less money. Yes, that's value right there. So big data is important. If we don't have the data, if we don't have sales data for milk over the past 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years, if we don't have the data, then the AI doesn't know what to do. The AI can learn from the data. So big data is a kind of a buzzword, but we're talking about having so much data that you almost can't deal with it all. You have to have cloud computing to deal with this stuff. So how much milk do we stock? Well, we look at all the past data. And the more data we can collect, the better the prediction we can make. So if we only have 1 year of data versus 17 years of data, if we don't have the temperature data, maybe the weather affects milk sales. But if we're not incorporating the weather in our AI algorithm, then it doesn't know that, oh, on cold days we sell less milk. So we need to feed it all the data so that we can get reliable outcomes from our AI. So does the weather really impact milk sales? How do I know? Well, we feed in the data. If we can feed in the temperatures and analyze it against the sales data, we can find those correlations. Like, does a holiday weekend matter? Does how much would a change in price affect sales? Can I predict that right now, or can I not predict that? Grocery costs, that's a big news story right now anyway. So AI, if we start letting AI make all these decisions and we start, turning things over to AI, there are some ethical considerations to this. And Microsoft has already thought about this. In fact, let me show you something here real quick. If I were to go and do a Google search, I should do a Bing search since we're talking about Microsoft, but that's all right. If I do a search for Microsoft Tay, here's a news article. Here's a Wikipedia article about Microsoft Tay. So here's the deal. Back in 2016, Microsoft was working on an AI chatbot. And we just talked about, how does AI learn? Data. Give it more data and it'll learn. It'll be better at what it does. So Microsoft decided, hey, how better to give a chatbot the data that it needs than to let it chat with people? So they released Tay via Twitter, and they let Tay just chat with people. They unleashed the AI right on Twitter. It only took 16 hours before Microsoft had to take Tay down. Why? Because Tay was becoming a racist, bigoted jerk. And, they say trolls attacked Tay. All the people on Twitter, there's a lot of racist, bigoted jerks on Twitter. And so they all taught Tay how to be bad. So Microsoft learned an important lesson. Okay, we can't just unleash AI without thinking about these things a little bit. So if we go back and we do a different search for Microsoft responsible AI, Microsoft has thought about it a lot. Let's go to this responsible AI principles. So Microsoft has thought about AI a lot, and we need to consider. There we go. Fairness. Is my AI, because it was coded by a bunch of middle-aged white men, is it giving favoritism to middle-aged white guys? Right? Is it being fair? What about reliability and safety? There have been AI machines that have been driving a car that just ran right into a person walking their bike across the street because it didn't quite handle it. So can we let AI make decisions that affect people's lives? Or when should we get a human involved in that? Privacy and security. AI can pick up trends and learn things that maybe we shouldn't be telling the world about. Inclusiveness. Again, is AI biased towards a certain race or a certain gender? Transparency. If the AI is doing things, is there a way that I can find out why it made that decision? Accountability. If it makes a bad decision that hurts someone, who do I sue? Do I sue Microsoft because they coded the AI? Do I sue the company that used the Microsoft AI? Do I sue ChatGPT, who made the code that Microsoft is using? Who's accountable for that? So these are all, you can read about all these things. Microsoft has a lot of guidance for responsible AI. So with that being said, let me just give you, sorry, let me get my slide deck going again. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. So when you start using AI, let me just give you a tip. I don't think it's going to steal our jobs yet, right? Because we need to get a human in the mix often enough to deal with some of these situations where we want to make sure that we're, with self-driving cars, guess what? If the car gets in an accident, the human behind the wheel is going to be the one held accountable. So let's put a human in the mix and say, hey, you better be paying attention, because if your AI makes a choice, you need to take the steering wheel and take over. If your AI is deciding whether or not I qualify for a loan, and I'm biased, I'm giving certain genders loans and not others, then maybe a human needs to step in and deal with that, right? So at any rate, Microsoft has put a lot of thought into this because they've had some issues with it, right? AI may not always be completely unbiased. So we need to consider that, keep a human in the mix sometimes. All right, so Microsoft Azure has a bunch of capabilities built in. So you could, for example, you could go to Stanford or to MIT and you could get a degree in machine learning and AI. And you could hire somebody from Stanford or MIT to like help your company, predict the right amount of milk, or help your company, learn from the data better. But we don't need to hire those MIT and Stanford graduates. Microsoft has already hired those kinds of people. And they've created services in Azure that are already capable of doing these things. Like the machine learning would be great for, processing all the sales data to decide how much milk we should stock. Computer vision, it can look at a picture and it can tell me what's in the picture. Imagine you're searching for this picture. You know that it's in your corporate database somewhere. You know it's in your corporate files somewhere. And you know there was this picture of the bridge and the damage underneath the bridge. Now, if you do a search for bridge with damage, well, if that picture is called image 17246, then you have to search for image 14726 or whatever to find it, right? Well, with AI, we can have AI find that picture, not based on what it's named or any tags that a human tagged it with, but based on a description of the picture. Or if you're a car insurance company, somebody gets in an accident, you need to decide whether the car is repairable or is it considered totaled. Now, instead of hiring an army of humans to go look at the cars and decide whether they're repairable or not, you could take some pictures of the car, have your users submit pictures through your insurance app, and then you could have the AI look at the pictures and say, yep, that one's totaled. Nope, that one's repairable. And with the predictions, it gives a confidence level. So you could set a threshold. If it's 85% confident and above, then we don't need to get a human involved. If it's less than that confident, then maybe we'll have an insurance employee go and make the final decision. So computer vision could help me recognize bad parts. Instead of hiring people to take out the bad apples, I could have the machine take out the bad apples. Natural language processing, we can detect languages, detect sentiment. Oh my goodness, I got too many stories. There was someone on Twitter that made a negative comment about chicken McNuggets once. And McDonald's instantly had a reply. Hey, we're so sorry you had a bad experience. We want to make it right. Is there like a McDonald's employee who was just noticing that? No, I bet it was a bot. And the bot was able to take that tweet and decide whether it was a positive or a negative tweet. If it was a positive tweet, then it would be dumb to say, we're so sorry, we want to make it right. So there was an AI that knows, hey, based on what they said, that sounded pretty negative. So let's call it sentiment analysis. So natural language processing can do sentiment analysis, language detection, translation. Natural language processing can take somebody's utterance, whatever they've said, and figure out what to do about it. Document intelligence, data entry people. If you have forms that people are getting and then you have humans type the data into a database for you, like even me, when I travel, I used to have to submit a receipt, a photo of the receipt, and then I had to type in the total and what the date and things like that. Nowadays, AI can take that receipt and type the total and date and the merchant that you visited and the items. AI can do that, even though a receipt from Walmart looks different than a receipt from McDonald's, looks different than a receipt from whatever. So if everyone had the same standard like look of a receipt, then we wouldn't need AI to pull those data items out. But everyone has different looking receipts. So AI can figure it out, even though they look different, or business cards or tax forms or your health insurance card. When you go to the doctor, you give them a health insurance card and a human has to type the data in. Just give me a picture, let AI do that for me. Less human effort involved, cheaper, more accurate, more reliable stuff. Knowledge mining is just learning from our data, figuring something out that helps my business do a better job. For example, in the world of business and organizations that we work for, data can become information if we make it human readable. And then humans read that information and they learn something from it. They gain knowledge. And if we know, then we can make smarter decisions. If I know what this choice would mean, then making smart decisions is wisdom. So AI can help us produce better decisions. If you've ever had a decision maker make a horrible decision, you thought, why would they do that? Well, they didn't know something that you know. Or maybe you're the one that made a bad decision. And in hindsight, you're thinking, oh, I should have known. Well, with AI, we can make our whole organization make more wise decisions because AI can help turn the data into useful knowledge, insights that we can use to make better decisions. Oh my goodness, it's so important. It's so important that you adopt AI. So, like I said, instead of hiring an MIT graduate to be your AI whatever, you can simply subscribe to Microsoft's AI offerings. And they are phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Okay, do I have time? I was going to do a quick demo. I don't know if we have time now because I talk so much. Too many stories, too many good stories. So if I go to portal.azure.com, at portal.azure.com, I can log in. I need an account to log in with. Hang on, let me get my account details. I have a dummy account that I can log in with here. Let me paste that in and we'll log in with a password. Paste that in. Okay, hopefully that'll get me signed in. No, don't stay signed in. Okay, so at portal.azure.com, this is like the control panel where I can sign up for capabilities that Microsoft has to offer. And at portal.azure.com, I can go in and create a resource. It'd be like something I want Azure to do for me. And they have a whole slew of AI and machine learning resources here. So for example, if I sign up for language services, it can summarize documents, detect language, do sentiment analysis. If I sign up for computer vision, it could look at an apple and tell me it's good or bad, or look at the car and tell me it's repairable or not. All right, translator, I don't have to hire a human translator. AI can do it. I can build chat bots. I can do all sorts of crazy things here. This Azure AI services is kind of a bundle deal that can do all of these things. So I don't know if I have time to really make one right now. Just trying to hurry here. Review and create. So it's not that hard. I just subscribe to it. Right? I create this thing, and now Microsoft will help me with billing. If you go and look up, Azure price calculator, you can find out how much is this going to cost me. If I use this service, I'm going to have to be paying Microsoft for things. But boom, I now have an AI service. It's done. It's ready. So what can I do with this AI service? Well, let's go do an example of computer vision. And I want to go to, what I want to do is go to the Vision Studio. Let me just do a Google search. And I'm going to go to the Microsoft. Let's look Azure Vision Studio. Portal.vision.cognitive.azure.com. So they have this website where I can go and I can train my vision services to do things for me. Like, for example, image analysis. I can go in and I can detect items in images. So if I were to look at this image right here, it's a skateboarder, it's a man, he's wearing jeans, I see shoes. So if I feed it in to my Vision Studio, oh, I need to sign in. In order to do the demo, I think I'm good there. Am I not good there? Select a resource. Hang on. I need to point it to my Azure service that I just made and acknowledge that I'm going to do this responsibly. And now if I click on the skateboarder, it might take a little while for the resource to be ready. But what it was going to do is over here, it was going to tell me, hey, I see a skateboard, I see shoes, I see jeans, I see a man. And it could tell me all that stuff. And now, again, I could use that in my search. Or, I could go in, let's see if we can try another one. Instead of detecting common objects, I could go to, get captions, add a caption to the image. right? What would you say about this image? I would say 3 cows grazing in a field. Hey, look what the AI came up with, right? If I were to look at this, I would say statues on a building, Gothic statues on a building. Well, look, they say a statue of a woman holding a scale on top of a building. The AI looked at the pixels and tells me what's in the image, right? I would say grilled cheese sandwiches with tomatoes and onions or something. Oh, a sandwich cut in half. So the AI can do things, and we don't have to hire a person, or we can get better results. We can do things faster, better than ever before. 4 minutes left for questions. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it awesome? I just signed up for it. It took me like 2 minutes to sign up for it, and it's already telling me what's in an image. I could go in and I could have it do language stuff too. There's a language studio. Let me see if are there any questions. Let me know if I'm missing some questions.
Absolutely, Tom. So I will give our audience a last minute to throw some questions in there if they have any. But other than that, this was a lot of great info. Ooh, got some fun stuff on screen.
Sorry, if there's no questions, I'll show you one more cool demo.
That
We'll go
sounds
to
great. Yeah.
the language studio, and in the language studio, we can go in and we can, you know, let's do extract information. We could go in and say, let's do classify text. There we go. Sentiment analysis. So sentiment analysis, I can come in here and I could feed in a phrase like, hey, here's somebody's product review of our product. Let me run the sentiment analysis, and their review is 74% positive, 25% negative. And I can go down here and look at the sentences that were positive and negative. Or, I could feed in, a customer complaint email, feed in an email and find out, was the customer happy or upset? And we can tell, oh, they're 50% happy, 50% upset. And maybe, how we interact with the customer, the AI can already help us, like, hey, this one's upset, so we need to send it to a different department. Or, we could categorize an email and find out, is it a billing question or a technical question, and route it to the right people based on the content. Right? There's all sorts of cool things we can do. How does Azure AI differ from Copilot? Oh yeah, I was going to show you that. So in Azure, there is a service that we can sign up for called OpenAI. OpenAI is the company that made ChatGPT. And so OpenAI has been incorporated into all sorts of things. Like, for example, if I were to go to bing.com, this little Copilot thing right here, this little icon right here, if you're on a Windows machine, you might see it, in the lower corner of Windows. You'll see it in Microsoft Office. This is essentially ChatGPT. And so you can, in Azure, kind of create your own little ChatGPT. ChatGPT knows what it's been trained, and it's been trained on the internet. If you get your own OpenAI thing, then you can train it on your data. So now you can start asking it questions about your contracts and your customers and your stuff, right? The normal ChatGPT, it knows everything that's on the internet. But if you go into Azure and set up your own OpenAI, you can get ChatGPT built in. So now I can do things like, hey, write a poem about Azure AI. And Copilot can be creative, right? Azure AI, the digital dream, it's writing a poem about it. Pretty awesome. And now I can say, talk like a pirate. I would need to sign in to keep going, but it'll, it is almost like having an assistant, and it's really good with language stuff. So you can go in and your Copilot can create lesson plans for you. Your Copilot can create advertising blurbs for you. Your Copilot could write entire novels for you. So Copilot, you can feed it. It can create images too. So if you tell it, hey, I need a picture of this thing, it can generate pictures for you. It's pretty amazing. It's called generative AI. It's all about being creative, creating images and literature and things like that. So You can use it to help you write code too. If you're a developer, say, hey, Copilot, write a Python script that does this, and it'll write it up. So, awesome. Thank you, everyone. I had too much fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Go look for
Likewise.
some AI classes at New Horizons, and you can learn how to set these things up and how to work with them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tom. And if anyone needs any more info, just like Tom said, please do not be afraid to visit us at newhorizons.com. And I know that we had a question about the recording. So if you missed out on any part of the session, we will be sharing this recording with all of you in an email after the webinar. So thank you so much again, Tom.
Thank you all.
Excellent. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Go have fun with some AI, and we'll see you very soon in the classroom. Bye, everyone.